So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you guys are new here, hit that like button and subscribe. If you guys clicked on this video, it is because you are semi-interested in what I have learned as a teenager before I am turning 20. I do turn 20 soon here in June. So I thought I'd make a video what I have learned so far, thus in my teens. Because your teens are a place and a time where, you're supposed to experiment a little bit. You're supposed to kind of get out of your shell. You're supposed to, meet people and kind of like figure out what you want to be at least. You don't become the person you want to be, but you start learning and implementing, habits, ideas, ideologies, whatever it may be into, your routines, your lifestyle, your friends, etc. And so, coming to my first point into what I learned in my teens was trying to get out of your shell early. As an introverted type of kid, when I was a little bit more in my teens, like let's say 13, 14, and a little bit 15 and 16, I spent a lot of time, inside the house, a lot, away from, friends at school that were doing other stuff. I tried sports. Some of you might know I was really good at swimming. So I did swimming at a really high level in high school when I was a freshman. I tried doing soccer. I played sports and all that. But when it came to outside of those other things, outside of school, all I wanted to do was just go back home because I didn't really, want to do or hang out with other kids because I thought everything was boring, boring, everything, this is boring, this is boring. And this, kind of closed-minded, small-ish mindset, stopped me from developing some, maybe more relationships, more friends when I was younger. I did have, some, 3-4 friends that were, cool, and then we hung out and we did all the stuff with, right? I feel like as a teen, you should be, outgoing. You should be more. I feel like nowadays we're kind of becoming more introverted very young. We're being sheltered. We're being told not to do this, not to do this, not to do that. And so we become kind of scared to, kind of be who we want to be, right? And I think as a teen and, growing up in these years, it's very important to not, be scared of being what you want to be. At least in our teenage years, I think it's very important for us to try and be what we want to be, figure out certain things, right? And so definitely my first thing was that I learned was, get out of your shell. The past couple of years, like last year and the year before, I really spent time being more social. I practiced going up to people and talking. I developed my social skills a lot more. My speaking skills with YouTube, it really helps. Meeting different people really helps as well, and traveling, that kind of gets you out of that, zone. Because especially take example, like if you're trying to learn a language, for example, it's very nerve-wracking to want to go speak that language you don't really speak up to a person who speaks it, and kind of be confident, because they know that you're gonna have an accent, you're not going to sound as clear as someone who already speaks the native language, of course. And so those little things, like challenging yourself and just being more outgoing, when you converse, when you meet people, and really trying to not shy away from anything, right? And so moving on to my second point, it kind of goes back to like the friends thing. Learning as a teen, I really learned from books, from audio books mostly, because I don't like to read because it's kind of slow and inconvenient. Everyone knows audiobooks are the king. And as a teenager, you 100% get to pick who your friends are. You don't get to pick who your mom, who your dad, who your cousins, who your brother is, your teachers, etc. But you do get to pick kind of who your friends are and who you want to be friends with. And of course, I get if you go to school and there's certain people that don't want to be friends with you. Maybe self-reflect. I guess it's harder when we're younger, but if you're a younger kid, you're a teenager, you're 14, you're 15, you're 16, you're watching this, there's people at your school and they don't really want to be friends with you. At that period in time, I can understand. You might be like, F them, they don't know who I am, they don't like the real me, etc. Instead of taking this very pessimistic approach or this negative mindset and turning it as it's always the other person's fault. It's not that it's necessarily your fault, but it's taking this third POV. When you play a video game, you can see your character from the outside perspective, and self-reflecting and being like, okay, what are potential reasons some people might not like being friends with me? I know mine. I know why people might not like being friends with me, and I'm okay with that. And those are things you have to do as you get older, as your mind starts to develop, you have better critical thinking skills, you start to understand more about life, more about social skills and people and friends. And so going back to friends, it's very important who you pick your friends. Who are your friends, right? Because your friends influence everything around you, your habits, your routines, all this, etc., right? And so if all your friends around you want to do, let's let's say, unproductive things, right? Instead of going into the details, they want to do unproductive stuff, but you want to do productive things, and you have, some goals. Example, like you want to be a professional, athlete, right? But the friends you chose to have, they're not in sports at all. It's going to be very hard to be a professional athlete if everyone you're hanging around with doesn't want to be an athlete, because they're not going to have the same routines as you, they're not going to have the same goals as you, they're not going to have the same mindset as you. So it's not going to be as easy as if, let's say, all your friends were already athletes, right? That's a very plain, basic example, but my point still stands. Your friends influence your routines, your habits, your mindset. It's also a good thing to have friends that represent you, right? You want friends that are going to represent you in public in a great way. I want to be proud of the friends that I have around me as well. I don't want to go out in public with my friends and be embarrassed. You don't want to be that person either. So work on yourself and work on the types of friends you choose to have, because throughout life, very important, it might even just dictate your success. One of the most important things I learned in my teens was habits. Understanding that you need healthy habits that make up for the bad one. And one thing that really, I understood and I learned was your habits dictate your success, or at least they dictate how fast and how quickly you get to your success, because your habits have such a huge impact on how quickly you get to where you want to be, because they compound every day. It's making that 1% better everyday progress. A book I read when I was 17 was Atomic Habits, and I think this was the book that talked about the 1% rule. And it explained in the video, or in the book, that why 1 week or 1 month or 1 day even make 20% progress, 30% progress, when tomorrow you can't make 30 or 20% progress because it's unsustainable, versus making 1% progress every day, because it's more sustainable to get 1% progress every day than it is to get 20 or 30, because that way, at least within 100 days, you made 100% progress versus the 100 days before, versus 100 days of maybe only making 20% here, and then for like the entire 30 or 40, 50 to 60 days you only make another 10 or 15%. So then you only end up at 50% versus you would have ended up at 100. And so if this doesn't make sense, I hope it does, because it's so true that your habits really do dictate your success. And if they don't, they dictate how quickly you can get there. Because I don't think anyone isn't suited for success or suited for accomplishing what they want. They aren't suited for the habits that they need to do, because they don't practice, they don't install these things at all. That is one thing I learned when I was younger. And so even now in my lifestyle and my day-to-day, I always make sure I have good habits that balance the bad ones, So going on to my third point, back to, friends and stuff and how it can really influence your routines and stuff like that. Well, my third point is discipline, right? I really believe that when I was younger, and when I was 16, when I was 17, even 15, I learned a lot about discipline. I was reading a lot of audiobooks, discipline kept popping up. I kept watching motivational content as I would wake up at 6 a.m. to get on my treadmill when my mom was going up to work. In the morning, I'd get on the treadmill for half an hour, 45 minutes before I ate breakfast, because I knew if I woke up and I instantly got on the treadmill, I was gonna build this habit, and if I was disciplined enough, I would, build this routine, and this was gonna ever so help me get to where I wanted to be with whatever goal, right? So discipline is very important, right? And of course, like I said before, and having friends who also stick to their word is going to help make, having a more disciplined lifestyle and a more balanced lifestyle very, easy. And I learned that discipline, separates you from other people, from the weak, from people who say certain things and then don't do certain things, right? Discipline really separates you from the doers from the don't doers, right? Because in life, there's two types of people, right? I know there's a whole bunch of analogies for these or whatever, but there's doers and then there's not doers, right? You have people who do and don't. I feel like it's better to be in the pile who do. And the people who are in the pile that do are and have discipline. And I think that's just how it is, and that's just life, right? Discipline is not just, going to the gym every day or sticking to a diet. It's more about the word of your mouth and the words of your consciousness that you tell yourself every day, the things you say out loud, and you can back them up. You follow through with them. You say, hey mom, I'm gonna take out the garbage, and you take out the garbage, right? This is the more discipline I'm talking about, because I think it's very important to learn those habits and learn those as a teenager. And I'm thankful I learned those you know, while I was, you know, in that developing stage, you know, and I think your teens is a great way to set yourself up for your 20s to launchpad yourself for success. So a quick tangent about discipline and living and wanting to have this, you know, more productive, you know, better lifestyle for ourselves, or we see this in the future and this is our goal and we want to work hard. The one main key thing I learned most recently was, you know, it's great to have discipline, right? But it's resilience that keeps you in the game. If you're resilient enough to always know, you know, whether it's now, it's later, something bad happens, you know, or maybe nothing bad happens, but maybe you're not making progress like you thought you would or you were hoping you would. If you know that you stay resilient and you will stick through it long enough, eventually you have to get closer to your goals, or get to at least somewhere where you want to be, right? Because I have like this little saying, or I mean, I've heard it before, but it really stuck with me, and I say it a lot now to people that I meet, or even to my mom, for example, or even my girlfriend, right? I'd even say, like, if you have a goal that's up here, right, and you are here, you stick through it and you end up here, why isn't it better to be here than it is to be here? This is your goal. Now you're only this, you know, farther from your goal than when you were here. So it's resilience that'll keep you, you know, in the game. It'll keep you going, right? And developing that grit. You know, some people have it, some people don't, but I think you can 100% develop it. And the saying I wanted to say was, if you aim for the moon and you miss, at least you land amongst the stars, right? You're somewhere farther than where you started. And I think that's the most important thing to know about life as well. Is we all have big dreams, we all have goals, you know, we all want to do something with our lives, or we have something that we want, right? It always seems so far away, and sometimes it may be, but as long as you try to step one foot at a time, and you just keep going, whatever it may be. Sometimes you take a break, sometimes you don't, but it's always in the back of your mind. You have it in there and you're making little steps every day. Then it's only a matter of time that you get what you want, or at least you can, you know, be comfortable knowing you're getting there. I think that helps a lot, especially when you're a teenager, because we're so new to life. We want everything right away. We want to go here. We want this new thing. We want this. We want to go meet this person. We want to do all these cool stuff because everything is so new to us, because life is so exciting, right? So we can get distracted and sidetracked very, very easily. And just knowing and developing discipline with resilience will keep you ahead and will keep your mental very, very strong, and will help you a lot along the way. And so getting into my final and my fifth thing that I've learned while as a teenager, the words you say about yourself. I could have put so many different things. I could have said so many different, things, and I had like a list of 20 ideas here. I really wanted to make them meaningful, because I know that 16-year-old kid, that 15-year-old kid might be watching this right now. And that was me, that was who I was. I was 15 watching, YouTubers giving advice about what they learned when they were younger. It gave me a sense of direction. It gave me little clues about what I should be thinking about for what I want in the future. The words you say about yourself and the words that you constantly have in your mind, in your thought process, are very, very important, because the words you say up here and the words you say about yourself, and then the reality that you have, is a physical representation of what's happening up here, right? Forget about all the other bullshit, whatever it may be, right? If you say something up here, sooner or later, the outcome in reality happens, and we see it unfold before us. So the words that you have in your head and the reality that you experience, it's connected. So why not make sure that the words and the things that you are saying about yourself to others, your thought processes and etc., are positive and have meaning, they mean something. And I think this is just a great way to live life, and to understand that you're gonna go through times where, everything, things might be not going your way, or everything's gonna be difficult, or whatever it may be. Sooner or later, developing a strong mind, developing a strong body, everything is gonna unfold before you with time. Just remember, if you can take one thing from this video, is that the things you say about yourself are very, very important, and don't forget that. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the video. I know that somebody who is in my shoes is going to watch this video eventually. It might not be right now, might be later. Why I want to make YouTube videos and why I'm making YouTube videos are because I know like I would watch these, you know, and I would have benefited from them in my place when I was younger. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I know my nose is a little bit stuffed up right now, but so I appreciate if you guys made it through to the end of the video. If you guys did like the video, please drop a like, please subscribe, and follow me on Instagram. Send me DMs, send me messages, comment down below if you guys, you know, want me to make any other videos, or you just have questions for me to answer. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.